I walked past a girl at the airport the other week and she said that she can never tell whether she's nervous or if she's hungry. So whenever she's nervous, she ends up eating. So, girl in the airport, this episode is for you. Hello, you beautiful people. Welcome to the Marcy's Magic podcast, where I, Marcy, your host, will be talking to you all about your spiritual evolution, God, love, and so much more. It is such a shame that so many women, and men too, but women, I'm talking to women specifically right now, are living disconnected from their bodies. If you are a woman, you are a creator. You are a life giver. There is so much power, there is so much wisdom within your body. Your body tries to speak to you every single day. Your body does things for you without you needing to think about it. Your body signals to you when it's feeling dehydrated. It signals to you when it wants to go to the bathroom, when it's hungry, when it's time to sleep. There is so much wisdom within our bodies that is way beyond our comprehension, and it's way beyond what we can see, because obviously we don't see what's actually happening inside of it. But if you work with your body and not against it, there is so much wisdom, so much alignment to be made from that connection. But too often, we work against our bodies. So this is particularly for women who are not connected to their menstrual cycles, because it gets to the week before the period and our bodies start slowing down. The inner critic starts kicking in, and we get wound up over not being able to perform how we could 2 weeks before, when we were ovulating. And then we're in a bleed, and it feels like the brain is just a sieve. I know I definitely feel like that. But then you've got the inner critic that comes in with the drop of those hormones, and it just turns into the biggest turmoil, right? All those signs, all those experiences are your body trying to communicate something to you. And it honestly breaks my heart that people are not listening to the wisdom of their bodies. So this is exactly what I'm going to be covering in today's episode. And yes, I said this episode is for the girl in the airport, because it is for her, but it is also for the hundreds, thousands of other women, other people who are disconnected from the bodies, who are failing to see just how much their body tries to serve them. So let's work with it. Let's work with the wisdom within. This is honestly one of my favorite topics ever. I feel incredibly passionate about it because what I see, particularly in a spiritual community, is people diminishing the importance of the body. I have seen people throw things around such as, connect to the limitless energy of the universe, drink from its source, you don't need rest, you can rest by meditating, and yada yada. Right? No, that is not true. And don't get me wrong, there was a little phase in my life on my spiritual journey where I tried. I was like, okay, what if I don't rest and I just try to connect with the universe to, hook me up with the good juices to continue doing whatever I was doing? It doesn't work, because you are a human. Yes, yes, yes. You have a very spiritual essence, and you're here to fulfill your soul's purpose, your soul's desires. You've signed all sorts of spiritual contract before you have incarnated into this life. You're here for certain reasons, and a lot of it is to do with spiritual evolution. But you've done it in a human form. And what makes you human is this physical body that you can touch, that you can feel, that you can tune into right now. And there's a reason for it. So you know how often when something happens, and I know a lot of us will be asking ourselves, what does this mean? What is this trying to teach me? And we're looking at the bigger picture, we're looking for their meaning in the abstract things. Great, but now apply that to your body. Now apply that to the messages that your body is trying to send to you. So I want to start off with an exercise. So you're listening to me right now and you're using your senses to be doing that, which is great. But just spend the next minute noticing your body. Just notice what is happening within your body. You can do a very quick scan from your toes up to your head. Pause. You can pause this episode right now. Just do a very quick check-in. Okay. So now ask yourself, how was that? How was it checking in with your body? What are you noticing? What is another big shame in today's society is that we experience pain and we see that as something that needs to be healed, cured immediately, so we reach for painkillers. Oh my god, honey, pain is a messenger. Pain is trying to tell you something. So I invite you to look at all your physical sensations, all the things that are happening for your physical body, well, physically, right? Any illnesses, aches, pains, any flare-ups, IBS, anxiety, not being able to sleep, all of that as a reason for something. There is a reason why this is happening. And I am not saying that you're meant to look for what it's trying to teach you, but I want you to start thinking about why these things are happening, because on a spiritual level, there is always a reason of what caused for the illness to happen, for these sensations to happen. So, for example, all parts of our bodies are connected to different chakras. So if you don't know, chakras are energy systems within your soul that govern different elements of your well-being on the different levels and support its function, right? So there was a period in my life a few months ago where I was feeling quite stressed about finances. I was thinking about what to do next with my business, employment. I was just in a rut. I was feeling really chaotic. And what happened? I sprained my ankle. I sprained my right ankle, and the right side of the body is known as the masculine side. It can often experience different pains and aches and all kinds of sensations when there's either healing to be done around the aspect of doing, or if we've been leaning onto it too much and we need to take some pressure off the doing and lean onto the left side to be a little bit more restful and intuitive and feminine. And I know at that time I was running around like a headless chicken trying to sort things out, and it didn't work, right? So I sprained my ankle. And when I sprained it, like literally the moment it happened, I was like, oh my God, like I knew it was coming. I did actually get the intuitive insight that this was going to happen a few days before, but I was just like, well, what can I do? Like, I'm trying to work on things spiritually so that it doesn't happen. But it was one of those things that it was already decided that was going to happen. So I just, in a way it happened. Whatever, it's fine now. But I knew immediately that's what was going to happen. And when it did, it did really wind me up because it stopped me from going to a salsa class that week. It was literally on the same day, so I knew I couldn't go. And I spent the following week really diving into the pain of this ankle and trying to understand exactly why it happened. And it wasn't exactly the easiest process because I knew there were certain elements that I did that brought this on. So it required a lot of accountability and responsibility, which a lot of people fear. We fear to accept the part that we played in where we are and what's happening within us, what's happening for us. But one thing that I want to say to you is do not be scared because it is for the best. And I know it's such a cliche, it sounds like one of those things that it's much easier to say, but let me tell you, the relief that you will feel is going to outweigh the cost of continuing to carry this around and repeating the patterns and holding on to that stagnant energy that's keeping you in the same space. So you're either continuing to manage, let's say, medium levels of carrying this energy that's no longer aligned for a long time until it gets heavier and heavier, or you deal with the chunk which in the moment is very unpleasant, but then it's all light, clarity, and more alignment, because as soon as I did that, things just fell into place, they made sense. One thing that I must stress is that this is not to blame you for your experiences. This is the last thing you need to be doing. Please do not go away from this episode thinking that you brought this on yourself. If maybe you've got chronic health problems, whatever it is, this is not to blame you. This is to help you work with your body and allow your illness and whatever experiences that you're having, regardless whether it's short term or chronic or whatever, that they're all trying to say something to you. And it's about you deciding whether you're going to work with it or you're going to work against it. So, and I want to just circle back to the importance of working with the body. Often we may struggle with doing that because we think about, like deep within, we may have this feeling that we know what should be doing, that maybe we do need to go on a walk. Maybe we do need to go and rest. But sometimes it doesn't make sense logically. Sometimes we may be our biggest critic. Maybe if, for example, you're reaching close to your menstruation and those hormones dip, and that's when the inner critic is most likely to come in for a lot of people. And for a lot of people who haven't had the privilege of feeling safe within their bodies, actually listening to these messages is incredibly challenging, because if you don't have that feeling of safety within, you're going to find it difficult to trust what it's trying to tell you, or even trust yourself to hear it. So of course we fall into the trap of trying to make sense of things. But here's the thing about emotions and intuitive wisdom of the body, is that it's not going to make sense. Like, you can't conceptualize it, because a thought is very different from an emotion, and they both have a purpose, they're both here for a reason. But the more you try to conceptualize things, the more you're going to be confused, because often your intuition and your body will be telling you that, okay, I need you to do this, or I need you to do that. And in your mind, you're like, actually, this doesn't fit with my agenda. This doesn't make sense. So I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing. And yeah, that can be very confusing. One of the first episodes, well, literally the first episode that I've done for the podcast, is talking about the importance of inner safety. So if you're someone who does not feel completely safe in your body, I urge you to go back and listen to that episode, because that will be a really nice building block for helping you to feel more grounded within yourself, for allowing you to trust the wisdom of your body. And the second episode is an inner safety meditation. This is something that I go through with a lot of my clients. Regardless of what my clients come to me with, inner safety is the absolute first thing that we do, because I strongly believe in the fact that you're not going to be able to live a happy, fulfilled, and aligned life unless you're feeling safe within yourself, unless you're feeling like you've really got your own back. So if you haven't, go listen to those episodes. And let's continue from here. So if you really CBA going back to listen to it, I will tell you that inner safety is truly the most important piece of it all. Because how are you going to hear your intuition if you can't differentiate it from anxiety? Same with the example of the girl I heard at the airport who can't tell whether she's nervous or hungry, so she eats. How can you differentiate that if you're not feeling safe within your body? And there's a million reasons why you may not be feeling safe within your body, but one element is the fact that we don't live in a society that creates space for us to understand what our bodies are trying to tell us. It's something that we have to take upon ourselves and learn. Now, I'm not going to go too much in depth about this here, about the fight or flight, because all the information is in the previous episode that I've mentioned. But the long story short is that your fight or flight, which is the instinct that is within your brain that tries to protect you every single day, but your brain doesn't know the difference between a tiger chasing you versus someone judging you for something that you post online, right? It perceives both of the things as threatening, and it is your responsibility, it's your job to work with your brain to help it understand that, while yes, this may be out of your comfort zone, it's unusual, yes, there's a risk that there may be some people who are quite judgmental that may see it, there may be some comments, yes, okay. So it's like a psychological threat, an emotional threat, but it's not an actual matter of life and death. So you need to be able to work with your body to bring it back down into a regulated state so that you're not carrying this anxiety within you. So one thing that I want you to start noticing in your day is when the fight or flight is being set off. When are you noticing that your brain is perceiving something as threatening? So your body will speak to you. Your body will send you the signs to tell you that you're feeling nervous and that something is a threat. So what happens is your heart will start to speed up. And the reason why that's happening is because if your brain thinks it's under a threat, right, and it needs to either fight or flight, it needs to have the energy to do either of those things. So your heart starts beating fast because it wants to make sure that there's enough blood flowing to different muscles that you're going to need to use. You may notice that you've got a dry mouth, and that's happening because your digestive system shuts down, and that's when you may feel sick. That's when you may feel butterflies in your stomach. That's when you can't tell whether you're hungry or you're nervous, because the digestive system is like, actually, I'm not digesting. There's bigger things for me to deal with, because your brain thinks that your fear of being perceived on social media is as big of a deal as being chased by a tiger. So you need to be able to notice all these signs and differentiate to what it actually is. And one thing that you may find yourself doing is that when you're feeling stressed or anxious, you may be more prone to scrolling on social media because it is the easiest form of escaping. It's avoidance, that's what it is. And this is not to judge you, it's not to shame you, this is to help you see the patterns in where you're disconnecting from yourself in the day-to-day. I have been guilty of it, but what I've learned to notice is that when I'm doom scrolling, majority of the time is because I'm trying to avoid something, and what I'm trying to avoid is dealing with an uncomfortable feeling within me. But the thing is, again, I'm referring back to the previous example, that if you don't deal with it in the here and now, you're going to continue carrying that energy within you. So the fight or flight mode is incredibly physical because it basically it's a release of cortisol, which is the stress hormone, a lot of adrenaline, and all types of emotions are basically energetic currents. So something needs to happen with them in order for it to go away. But if you're not dealing with it in the moment, you're going to carry it around and you're going to end up feeling tired. You're going to end up not feeling safe in your body because your brain is constantly under the idea that something is happening and you need to be on the lookout. That's why a lot of people have IBS, because they don't work with what the body is telling them. And we know that the gut is literally your second brain. It is so powerful. And that is exactly what it means to work with your body. That you're noticing what's coming up, you're noticing what it's trying to tell you, and you deal with it. And then you move on. And the thing is, though, it may feel like it's such a... Well, the element of dealing with it in itself can feel quite threatening. But actually, what you'll learn to notice is that over time, you'll recognize various different triggers, and you'll be able to bring yourself out of that anxious state, out of that anxious reaction very naturally, because you'll be so much more in tune into how you're feeling. And once you've dealt with those initial reactions, those different triggers, what that then creates is a pathway for your intuition to start coming through very strongly, clearly, and you being able to trust that. I've been asked this many times, is how do I know if it's anxiety or intuition? And let me tell you, I really invite you to deal with working with your body first and then worry about the intuition. Well, not worry, because when you know, you will know. Intuition comes from a very different place. It's an energetic difference. Anxiety will feel a lot more physical, a lot more on the surface, whereas intuition feels much more sort of below your belly button, at least for me. Although it does also come through various other ways, but intuition is an experience, it's a feeling. But unless you can tell that your body is anxious or that it's nervous or that it's been triggered by something, and you can bring yourself back down to a regulated state, you're going to have trouble accessing the wisdom and the intuition of your body. Another thing that I want to really circle back to is that as a society, we are so quick to reach in for painkillers. And it is such a shame because, like I said, all the pains and aches that we're experiencing, they are messengers for something, and we have normalized painful periods, but painful periods are not normal. When you're experiencing really heavy and difficult periods, it's trying to tell you something. So I used to have really challenging periods until I've done a lot of energetic and inner work. And for the last 2 years, I want to say, I've had had really good cycles, good relationship with my periods. I love when she arrives. I love having periods. I love being a woman. I love having a womb. And there was 3 periods in a row in the recent autumn where they were flooring me. They were knocking me out. And I knew exactly why this was happening. There was a lot of things going on in my life. Probably one of the most, not probably, definitely, the most challenging time in my life, and it showed. And it showed itself through my periods because at that time I was living in a state of constant grief and heartache, and I didn't have that much time to drop into my own emotional safety. So then when my periods came around, they were so painful to the point where sometimes I couldn't sleep. And there was this one period in particular where I was on the floor literally sweating in pain. I was like, oh my God, like what is happening? So I tuned in to my womb and I asked my womb, what do you want to tell me? And the answer came up immediately. It was literally like a click of a finger. I received the clarity of what energy was still within my womb that needed dealing with. And the answer was a little bit surprising because even though I knew there was still some healing to be done around that specific thing, I didn't quite realize how in depth that energy went. So I did what I did. I stayed with that feeling. I sent it all my love and I expressed so much empathy and love for my womb that it was carrying this energy, and thanked it for delivering this message for me. All the unpleasant experiences, it went away. It went away in an instant because I created the space to deal with what it was trying to tell me. So this is what I mean by the fact that, yes, in the moment, it may feel like a really challenging thing. And I did cry, but then I was pain-free for the rest of the period. It was just like those dreamy, lovely periods that I've been having for 2 years before that. So if you are someone that experiences painful periods, I strongly urge you to dive into the energetics of it. This is something that I support my clients with in various types of energetic sessions, and I do a lot of womb and heart work to support you in embodying the wisdom and the love and the safety of your womb and the heart. So if this is you, please reach out to me and I'd love to support you because my mission is to empower women, to help them embody that beautiful, creative, life-giving, magical, feminine essence that lies within your womb, within your yoni, within your heart. It's exactly what I'm here for. So I would love to know, what are your thoughts? What is your relationship with your body? Do you feel tuned into it? Please either drop me a message on Instagram or leave a comment and let me know what you thought of this episode. And like I said, if this resonated with you, please reach out to me. I would love to connect with you. I would love to help you connect to your body so that you can start accessing this beautiful wisdom, these intuitive insights, so that you can start living a beautiful, embodied and aligned life.